What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest stars comes face to face with television's most controversial host, and things go completely off the rails? You're about to witness a showdown that nobody saw coming, where professionalism goes out the window and tensions explode in ways that will leave you speechless. Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment because this is about to get intense. Michael B. Jordan walked onto the View set that Tuesday morning, expecting a routine promotional interview. He was there to discuss his latest directorial project, a passion piece he'd been developing for 3 years. The atmosphere seemed normal as he settled into the guest chair, exchanging pleasantries with the panel. Whoopi Goldberg offered her usual warm welcome, while the other hosts smiled and prepared their notes. But Joy Behar had something else entirely on her mind. "So, Michael," Joy began, leaning forward with that familiar smirk. "Before we talk about your little movie project, I have to ask about something that's been bothering me. You've been pretty quiet about politics lately. Are you one of those celebrities who thinks staying silent makes you more marketable?" The question caught everyone off guard. Michael maintained his composure, though his eyebrows raised slightly. "I wouldn't say I'm quiet about issues that matter to me, Joy. I prefer to let my work speak for itself and support causes through action rather than just talking." "Oh, action," Joy said with a dismissive wave. "Like what exactly? Posting a black square on Instagram? That's not action, that's performative nonsense." Whoopi tried to interject. "Joy, maybe we should focus on the film." But Joy wasn't finished. "No, I think this is important. Here's a young man with millions of followers, massive influence, and he's playing it safe. Meanwhile, people are struggling, democracy is under attack, and he's worried about his brand image." Michael's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "With respect, Joy, you don't know what I do behind the scenes or how I choose to use my platform. I've worked with organizations supporting criminal justice reform, education initiatives, and mental health awareness. I don't need to broadcast every charitable act or political opinion to prove my worth to anyone." "Behind the scenes," Joy scoffed. "How convenient. Look, I've been in this business longer than you've been alive, kid. I know when someone's hiding behind public relations speak. Your generation thinks posting a thoughtful Instagram caption counts as activism." The other hosts exchanged uncomfortable glances. Sonny Hostin attempted to redirect. "Michael, can you tell us about the message behind your new film?" But Joy cut her off again. "Actually, let me guess. It's probably some safe, feel-good story that doesn't challenge anyone or anything. Am I right? Something that'll get you good reviews and awards buzz without ruffling any feathers?" Michael's professional smile was beginning to strain. "The film explores themes of generational trauma, systemic inequality, and personal redemption. It's based on real experiences from communities often overlooked by Hollywood. I spent 2 years researching and developing relationships with the people whose stories inspired this project." "Generational trauma, systemic inequality," Joy repeated mockingly. "Buzzwords. Did your publicist write that for you? Because it sounds like every other activist actor trying to win an Oscar. Where was this passion when it actually mattered? Where were you during the last election cycle when your voice could have made a real difference?" The tension in the studio was palpable now. Whoopi looked mortified, while the other hosts seemed frozen in disbelief. Michael leaned back in his chair, his hands clasped tightly together. "I'm starting to wonder if you actually want to have a conversation, Joy, or if you just brought me here to lecture me," Michael said, his voice remaining steady but with an edge creeping in. "Because if this is how you treat guests who come on your show in good faith, maybe I should have stayed home." Joy's eyes lit up like she'd been waiting for this moment. "Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Finally some real emotion, instead of that polished Hollywood nice guy act. See, this is what I'm talking about. You can get fired up when someone challenges you personally, but where's this energy when it comes to fighting for what's right?" "You don't know anything about what I fight for," Michael replied, his voice rising slightly. "You're sitting here making assumptions about my character, my values, and my actions based on what exactly? Your perception of my public image? Your idea of what activism should look like?" "I know what I see," Joy shot back. "A privileged actor who's afraid to take real stands, because it might hurt his career. You want to play it safe, stay likable to everyone, and cash those big paychecks without any of the responsibility that comes with influence." The accusation hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Michael stared at Joy for a long moment, his composure finally starting to crack. The other hosts sat in stunned silence, clearly unprepared for how personal and hostile this had become. Privileged? Michael repeated slowly. Let me tell you something about privilege, Joy. I grew up in Newark, raised by a single mother who worked multiple jobs to keep food on the table. I know what struggle looks like. I know what it means to fight for opportunities that other people take for granted. And I've used every bit of success I've earned to create opportunities for others who come from similar backgrounds. Joy waved her hand dismissively. Oh, here we go with the humble beginnings story. Every celebrity has the same sob story when they get called out. Look, I'm not trying to diminish your background, but let's be real about where you are now versus where you came from. Where I am now is exactly why I have a responsibility to be strategic about how I use my voice, Michael countered. You think being loud and controversial on television is the only way to create change? Some of us prefer to work within systems, build relationships, and create lasting impact rather than just scoring points in front of cameras. Joy leaned forward aggressively. Strategic? Is that what you call it? Because it looks a lot like cowardice to me. It looks like you're more worried about protecting your image than protecting the people who need advocates. The insult landed like a physical blow. Michael's hands gripped the arms of his chair, and for the first time since the interview began, real anger flashed across his face. Cowardice? Michael repeated, his voice dangerously quiet now. The professional mask was slipping away completely. You want to talk about cowardice, Joy? Let's talk about sitting behind a desk throwing accusations at people you've never taken the time to actually understand. That seems pretty cowardly to me. Joy's eyes widened with what looked like satisfaction. She had pushed him to this point deliberately. Now we're getting somewhere. See, I knew there was some fire underneath all that media training. Why don't you show this passion when it comes to speaking out about injustice? Because unlike you, I don't think every important conversation needs to happen on television for ratings, Michael shot back. Some of us do the work without needing applause or recognition. But you wouldn't understand that, would you? When's the last time you did anything meaningful that wasn't performed in front of cameras? Whoopi tried desperately to regain control. Okay, everyone, let's take a step back here. But Joy was relentless. Oh, please, don't try to flip this on me. I've been fighting battles on this show for years while you've been playing dress-up in superhero movies. At least I'm honest about my positions instead of hiding behind some fake humility act. Fake humility? Michael's voice rose sharply. You think humility is fake? You think taking time to listen, learn, and understand complex issues before shooting your mouth off is somehow dishonest? That says everything I need to know about your character. My character? Joy laughed harshly. That's rich, coming from someone who built his career playing tough guys while being too scared to take tough positions in real life. You want to talk about character? Real character means standing up when it's uncomfortable, not waiting until it's convenient. The other hosts looked like they wanted to disappear. Sarah Haynes was staring at her hands, while Alyssa Farah Griffin kept glancing toward the producers off camera. But Michael wasn't backing down anymore. You know what takes character, Joy? Building schools in underserved communities without holding press conferences about it. Mentoring young people who remind you of yourself at their age without posting about it on social media. Funding legal aid organizations that help families navigate systems designed to work against them. Should I continue? Joy's expression shifted slightly, but she pressed on. If you're doing all these wonderful things, why the big secret? Why not inspire others to follow your example? Sounds like false modesty to me. Because the moment you make your charity work public, people like you turn it into a performance review. Michael replied sharply. Nothing is ever enough. Nothing is ever pure enough. Nothing is ever the right kind of activism for people who make their living criticizing others. So now I'm the problem? Joy's voice dripped with sarcasm. Not the systems of oppression, not the politicians destroying democracy, but the talk show host who dares to ask tough questions. How convenient. Michael leaned forward, his composure completely gone now. No, Joy, you're not the problem. But you're definitely part of it. You sit here every day turning complex issues into sound bites for entertainment. You reduce real struggles to talking points you can use to score points against guests. That's not activism, that's exploitation. The accusation hung in the air like a bomb that had just exploded. Joy's face flushed red with anger. Exploitation? How dare you? I've been fighting for progressive causes since before you were born, you ungrateful little. Little what? Michael interrupted, standing up slightly in his chair. Go ahead. Finish that sentence. Show everyone exactly who you really are, underneath all that righteous indignation. Whoopi slammed her hand on the desk. That's enough from both of you. This is completely unprofessional. But Joy was beyond listening to reason. You want to know who I really am? I'm someone who doesn't hide behind publicists and carefully crafted images. I'm someone who says what needs to be said, even when it makes people uncomfortable. Unlike some people who are more concerned with protecting their brand than protecting their principles. My principles? Michael's laugh was bitter. You don't know anything about my principles. You've spent this entire interview attacking my character based on assumptions and prejudices. You didn't come here to have a conversation about my work or my values. You came here to tear me down for your own entertainment. I came here to hold you accountable. Joy fired back. Someone needs to ask these questions. Someone needs to challenge celebrities who think they can coast by on charm and good looks while the world burns around them. Michael shook his head in disgust. Accountable to who? You? A television personality who makes a living off manufactured outrage and fake controversies? You're not holding anyone accountable. You're creating content for people who get their kicks watching others get torn down. At least I'm honest about what I do, Joy retorted. I don't pretend to be some noble artist while secretly calculating every move for maximum profit and minimum risk. At least I'm authentic. Authentic? Michael's voice was incredulous now. You think this performance is authentic? You think ambushing guests with personal attacks disguised as political commentary is authentic? This isn't authenticity, Joy. This is cruelty dressed up as journalism. The other hosts were exchanging frantic glances, clearly desperate for this nightmare to end. But neither Joy nor Michael showed any signs of backing down. If anything, they seemed to be feeding off each other's anger. Cruelty? Joy's voice rose to match his. You want to talk about cruelty? Cruelty is having a platform to make real change and choosing to stay silent. Cruelty is disappointing the people who look up to you because you're too comfortable to take risks. That's the real cruelty here. Michael stood up from his chair, towering over the panel. No, Joy. Cruelty is using your position to bully people who come on your show in good faith. Cruelty is turning someone's personal commitment to service into a weapon against them. And cruelty is pretending that tearing people down somehow builds others up. The studio fell into a tense silence as Michael remained standing, his chest rising and falling with controlled anger. Joy stared up at him defiantly, her own fury burning in her eyes. The cameras kept rolling as everyone waited to see what would happen next. The moment stretched on as Michael remained standing, looking down at Joy with barely contained rage. The other hosts had gone completely silent, watching this unprecedented breakdown of civility with horror and fascination. Joy finally broke the silence, her voice dripping with mock concern. Oh, are you trying to intimidate me now? Is this how you handle criticism? By standing over people and glaring at them? Very mature behavior from Hollywood's golden boy. Michael's hands clenched into fists at his sides. Intimidate you? Joy, I'm trying to figure out if you actually believe the garbage coming out of your mouth, or if you're just this committed to creating drama for ratings. Either way, it's pathetic. Pathetic? Joy shot to her feet as well, matching his energy with pure venom. You know what's pathetic? A grown man having a tantrum because someone dared to question his precious image. This is exactly the kind of entitled behavior I was talking about. Entitled? Michael's voice boomed across the studio now. You've spent the last 20 minutes attacking my character, my integrity, and my commitment to causes I've dedicated my life to supporting. And I'm entitled for defending myself? Are you listening to yourself right now? Joy stepped closer to him, her finger pointed accusingly. I've been trying to get you to show some backbone, some real conviction about something that matters. Instead, you've proven exactly what I suspected. You're all image, and no substance. No substance? Michael's laugh was harsh and bitter. You want substance? Here's some substance for you. Every assumption you've made about me tonight has been wrong. Every attack you've launched has been based on ignorance and prejudice. You don't know me. You don't know my work. And you sure as hell don't know my heart. Whoopi was frantically gesturing to the producers off camera, but the argument had taken on a life of its own. Sarah Haynes looked like she was about to cry, while the other hosts sat frozen in their seats. Your heart? Joy's voice was mocking now. Oh, please, spare me the emotional appeals. Your heart seems pretty well protected by publicists and agents who make sure you never have to take any real risks or face any real consequences. Michael stepped even closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. You want to know about consequences, Joy? Here's a consequence. I came here today with respect for this show and for what I thought it represented. I came here believing in good faith dialogue and honest conversation. You've destroyed that completely. Good, Joy replied without hesitation. Maybe now you'll understand what it feels like when people don't handle you with kid gloves. Maybe now you'll develop some real passion for fighting back instead of just playing it safe all the time. Playing it safe? Michael's control finally snapped completely. You think this is safe? You think standing here arguing with you on national television is playing it safe? You think defending my principles and my integrity against your attacks is the easy path? You're delusional. Joy's eyes blazed with triumph, as if she'd finally gotten exactly what she wanted. There it is. Finally. Some real emotion. Some real fire. This is what I've been trying to pull out of you all along. Why can't you bring this energy to fighting for justice? Because justice doesn't require me to be cruel to people who don't deserve it, Michael shot back. Because creating positive change doesn't mean tearing others down to build yourself up. Because unlike you, I understand the difference between passion and aggression. Oh, so now I'm cruel and aggressive? Joy's voice reached a fever pitch. For asking hard questions? For refusing to let you coast by on charm and deflection? That's not cruelty. That's accountability. Michael shook his head in complete disgust. No, Joy. Accountability would be acknowledging that you've spent this entire interview attacking someone based on your own assumptions and biases. Accountability would be admitting that you came into this conversation with an agenda to create conflict rather than understanding. My agenda? Joy laughed harshly. My agenda is to get real answers instead of sanitized talking points. My agenda is to challenge people who have influence to use it responsibly instead of hiding behind false modesty. False modesty? Michael's voice was incredulous. You keep using that phrase like it means something. What you call false modesty, I call genuine humility. What you call hiding, I call strategic thinking. What you call cowardice, I call wisdom. Joy stepped back slightly, her face flushed with anger and exertion. Wisdom? There's nothing wise about staying silent when your voice could make a difference. There's nothing strategic about protecting your image while people suffer. And there's nothing brave about attacking guests on your show, Michael countered sharply. There's nothing noble about turning serious issues into entertainment. There's nothing heroic about bullying people who come here trying to share their work and their message. The accusation of bullying seemed to hit Joy like a physical blow. Her expression shifted from anger to something approaching shock. But she recovered quickly, her defiance returning with renewed force. Bullying? She repeated. I'm the bully here? For asking tough questions? For refusing to let you control the narrative? That's rich coming from someone who's used his privilege and platform to avoid any real scrutiny for years. Michael looked around the studio, taking in the horrified faces of the other hosts, the frantic gestures of the producers, and the shocked silence of the audience. When he turned back to Joy, his expression had changed from anger to something closer to pity. You know what, Joy? You're right about one thing. I have been privileged. I've been privileged to work with incredible people who taught me that real strength comes from lifting others up, not tearing them down. I've been privileged to learn from mentors who showed me that true leadership means listening more than talking. He paused, his voice becoming steadier and more controlled. And I've been privileged to understand that not every conversation needs to be a battle. Not every disagreement needs to be a war. And not every interview needs to end with someone getting destroyed for entertainment value. Joy stared at him, seemingly speechless for the first time all evening. Michael straightened his jacket and looked directly into the camera. I came here today to talk about a project I'm passionate about, a story I believe in, and work that I hope will make a positive impact. Instead, I've been subjected to personal attacks, character assassination, and the kind of toxic behavior that drives good people away from public service. He turned back to Joy one final time. I hope you got what you wanted out of this. Because this is the last time I'll be giving you the opportunity to treat me or anyone else this way. With that, Michael B. Jordan walked off the view set, leaving Joy Behar standing there in stunned silence as the cameras continued to roll. The other hosts sat frozen, unsure how to process what they had just witnessed, while the studio audience remained completely quiet, absorbing the aftermath of one of the most explosive interviews in television history. So there you have it, one of the most intense confrontations ever captured on daytime television. What do you think Joy Behar was really trying to accomplish with her aggressive questioning? Was she genuinely trying to hold Michael B. Jordan accountable? Or was this all about creating viral moments and boosting ratings? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and make sure to subscribe for more explosive celebrity moments that you won't see anywhere else.